Warning, this is a video where I will be talking about sexual assault and referencing the 4-letter R word, couched of course in TikTok speak. So if you are sensitive to subjects of this nature, please go no further with this video. Also, if you haven't seen Sinners and don't want any spoilers, you might want to skip this one too for now. On with the show. Hey YouTube, Lizzie B here. I have been struggling so bad with my equipment, but I got it together, knock on wood, and I want to talk about this video.
I don't like you. I want to hit it. I don't want a relationship. That's the reality. Women go, but tell me that. Where would that get us?
Nowhere. Exactly where it's supposed to get you. Because a girl who doesn't want that arrangement is allowed and has the freedom to say no thank you. So you can go find the girl who does want the arrangement.
100%.
So
but I don't want the girl that wants the arrangement. I want you.
So that's what I'm saying. You don't really want me.
Yes,
you
I do.
You want an encounter with me.
I do.
You want, and you don't.
No,
want
I want an encounter with you. Yes. I don't want you. I want the encounter. However you word it. Yeah.
You can't have everything you want.
I can get the encounter if I lie. But if I tell you the reality, am I getting the encounter?
Okay, so what you're describing is not a woman not wanting the truth. It's you not wanting the truth.
It is her. She doesn't want the truth really. Because does she want me to tell her that I want just the encounter?
Kellow.
But the reality is...
She doesn't want just an encounter with you.
That's my point, bro.
So it's not that she doesn't want the truth. She does want the truth so that she can decline.
She doesn't want the reality. So if it's a guy you like and he feels that way, that's what you want him to tell you?
Yes, I can walk away and not deal with him.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to know how you feel, for real.
That's literally, yes.
If I had to sum up that man and what he was saying with 2 words, it would be grape logic. Everything that came out of his mouth showed me how prevalent grape logic and grape culture is, how nonchalant it is, how the logic of grapists is normalized so much that this man thought grape logic was worth explaining. Side note, I hate having to use the word grape, but I'm doing it so I don't get flagged or suppressed by the algorithm. I hope you'll all forgive me and understand what I'm doing and why. Anyway, we all know grape logic. It doesn't need explanation. It doesn't need defending. It doesn't need empathy. It's a selfish kind of logic that violates other people because it can. Ironically, this same logic was made very clear in the movie Sinners. Sinners is a movie about a bunch of vampires attempting to gain access to a black juke joint in Mississippi in 1932. The vampires are led by Remick, an Irish immigrant vampire on a mission to turn Sammy, a young and talented guitarist, into a vampire. In the scene where we're introduced to Remick, he completely misrepresents who he is and what he's about. In layman's terms, he lies. He's lying his ass off. He's a lying piece of shit. After running to the house of a Ku Klux Klan couple in order to escape some Native American vampire hunters, does he tell the couple, hey, I'm a vampire? No, because where would that get him?
Nowhere.
Does he tell them that he plans to brutally attack them and turn them into vampires? No, because where would that get him?
Nowhere.
After spotting a Klan robe in the room behind the couple, does Remick make up a racist lie about the Native Americans who happen to be vampire hunters and are chasing him? Absolutely, because he can get the encounter he wants if he lies.
I can get the encounter if I lie.
Remick's logic and that of a nice guy grapist are exactly the same logic. And it's pretty paint by numbers. I want access to your body. This logic is so predictable that it's actually a little bit boring. Could you imagine if Ryan Coogler included a scene where Remick turns to the camera and explains to the audience that he's resorting to lying and saying whatever he needs to say because people can't handle the truth of knowing he's going to violently rip into their flesh and turn them into the undead? The point is we know, and people don't want that. The most interesting part of Sinners was seeing how the people responded to the vampires once they were able to make informed decisions. There are so many comedic skits circulating right now where people are acting like how they would be if vampires were at their door and how they wouldn't let the vampires in.
Oh, you came to deliver my food. Yeah. What food?
What food you ordered?
I ain't order no food.
You ordered the pizza, right?
I ain't order no pizza. I cooked tonight. Yeah, I made some garlic parm wings. And I made some butter garlic shrimp.
Garlic, huh?
Some garlic bread.
Garlic bread too.
Yeah, you can add something if you want. I'll just stick it through the mailbox.
Let's go! You're not getting me! You're not getting me! Actually, I don't even need to have the door closed. Are you crazy? What? I'm in. I'm out. No, I'm in. I'm out. No, no. But you know what? You're not in, bitch. Hey, look at this real quick. That's hot, right? You can't see that. Oh my gosh, you're such a bitch.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you got it. You got it. Come out here. Come on.
I'm what you would call fast food.
Stop playing. Come out here.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Good.
Good seeing you.
You too.
What's up?
You gonna let me in? Dude, you're not gonna invite me in?
Understanding the logic of a vampire is not the hard part to understand. The hard part to understand is why any so-called human would want to act in such a monstrous way. After a few think piece videos calling out the guy, his name is Kellow, circulated on TikTok and Instagram, the ladies of the We Are Mindfully Delusional podcast attempted to clean up their friend's words. We want to publicly and sincerely apologize to Kellow and his family for the gross misrepresentation that came from the way that clip was edited and received. The soundbite didn't tell the whole story. Okay, so what's the whole story?
I was under the impression all the time that I have to 100% say and be honest about everything I'm thinking. Because if I'm not, I'm being dishonest with my partner, I'm being dishonest with myself. But bro, you cannot.
He is not off to a good start with this.
And it doesn't mean you have to be dishonest, but some as men, we can't say. The reality is not what y'all want to hear ever. The reality that y'all think y'all want, y'all act like y'all want XXX, but y'all really want PG-13. The answer never, 100% never coincides with what y'all want, ever. What we are is not what y'all want us to be, ever.
Not to get all philosophical, but it sounds like on a very deep level, he believes that him, and since he's putting it generally, men are not worthy to have access to women.
The reality of the situation is so real that me and him have an understanding, just meeting each other, that we can't. Now, when the reality doesn't coincide with what y'all want, right? Y'all kind of force it. Everything about society and the way we date and the way we are right now is almost forced by what we're supposed to say and how we're supposed to act for women. If men were our real selves, they really wouldn't be too much marriage. They'd be a lot of crazy going on if men were the one at the forefront. Now,
crazy how?
If you dating a guy, because 99% of the time, which we alluded to earlier, 99% of the time, let's say I think that Lauren is a 6, right?
Oh my God. Not even hypothetically, don't do this, Kellow. Do not do this.
But I want to hit it.
Oh God.
Hypothetical, I want to hit it. What do you think would work for me more? Lauren, you all right, but for real, dog, you're not all that. I deserve better. I still want to smash. Once I'm done, I don't want to talk to you no more, and please don't call me. Right? A lot of the times that's reality.
If I was Lauren, I would have turned everything in that room over trying to get to that man. It would have taken Jesus himself to pry my fingers from around that nigga's neck.
Now, how far do you think that narrative gets me with Lauren? Don't you all speak at once? Have we all felt like that before?
Have I ever wanted to convince someone I didn't like or respect or even find attractive to sleep with me? Someone who didn't want me either? Well, no, can't say I've ever had that feeling.
Plenty of times.
This man's friend is a piece of shit too.
Where it's like, I don't like you, I want to hit it, I don't want a relationship. That's the reality. Women go, but tell me that.
Yeah, that was not a good cleanup. That was a deeper dive into the mess. The truth is that there are monsters in this world, and the way that men, yes, all men, are socialized is in a way where they see themselves as predators and anyone more feminine than them as prey. This is how women, children, and even other men are coerced and essayed. Here's an example of a man using lies and deception to get sex from another man against their will.
This is Ibn Williams, a hooper at Coppin State, plus Lucian Brownlee, Director of Player Development and Director of Basketball Operations, who is accused of catfishing, then blackmailing his own player, Ibn Williams. According to the now filed lawsuit, Brownlee harassed, tormented, and essayed Williams before publishing intimate material he had obtained from the student.
If Lucien Brownlee had come right out and told Ivan Williams that he wanted to have sex with him and record it, Ivan probably would have said no. Does that mean Ivan didn't want the truth or reality? No, it means Ivan likely didn't want to have sex with Lucien Brownlee. He didn't want to have that experience with that man. He would have said no because he didn't want that man. That was the truth of the situation. The only way that he would have sex with Lucien is if he was being tricked or blackmailed into it. So guess what Lucien used to get Ivan to have sex with him? He used trickery and blackmail. Did that mean Ivan Williams wanted to be tricked and blackmailed? No, he did not want to be tricked and blackmailed. He would have rather had just been left the alone. As long as the logic of vampires keeps getting explained to the rest of us like we all don't already know how vampires work, we will continue to live in a world where people who know how to deal with vampires are the ones being silenced and demonized. Which brings me to Annie. In Sinners, Annie is the estranged wife of Smoke who is well versed in the occult. She is the only one able to identify the monsters for exactly what they are. Vampires, and is the only one who knows the specific rules for how vampires operate and how to deal with them. Garlic, silver and wooden stakes, sunlight, they must be welcomed in. Figuratively, this can be seen as textbook rules for how to deal with grapists. Grapists run and hide from being exposed in the same way that vampires run from sunlight. Truth to grapists is like garlic to vampires in that it repels them. And if you drive a wooden stake or silver stake through a grapist's heart, that's just as effective as driving one through the heart of a vampire. People who are hard to take advantage of are often people who are skeptical. Like Annie, they know what kinds of monsters exist in the world and the specific rules that apply to each one. They repel the kind of people they don't want by being rigid in their boundaries and making demands up front. They're stern, shrewd, and suspicious regardless of how polite someone's presenting themselves to be. They will take all the time they need to make a decision and will listen to their intuition before being influenced by outside factors, no matter how anyone feels about this. Society hates people like this. Okay, side note. I remember as a child there was a church elder who expressed frustration to my mother that she was constantly around me and my sisters, being, as he called it, overprotective of us. Her being watchful prevented us from being alone with the so-called respectable men of the congregation, and the elder's frustration was that the charm of the church was not enough to convince my mother to drop her guard and be, more welcoming.
Being kind to one another.
And before I go further, yes, it turns out he was a grapist. On the podcast, Kellow expressed maybe not his own frustration because to my understanding he's married, but the frustration of men who can't just come out and say what they want or go out and just get what they want in a way that wouldn't be so polite. Like vampires, they are bound to the supernatural rules of politeness.
You big and strong enough to push past us?
Well, that wouldn't be too polite now, would it, Miss Annie?
He's saying if men had it their way, they would stop acting polite and just take what they want.
There'd be a lot of crazy going on.
If they weren't being forced to honor societal codes of decency, they would be the kind of monsters who have no barriers or obstacles keeping them from the bodies of whomever cannot fight them off. The thought of what he is indirectly saying is terrifying. And this was the apologetic, "You all need more context so you can understand where he's coming from" video. If there's anything I've learned from watching those clips and Sinners, it's that you never let the vampire in. You let them stay outside until the sun comes up. If they want to give you money, they can drop it in the mail or throw it inside. We'll have the conversation in the doorway, but you are not getting access to my home because it is not just my home you want access to. When a person with a predator mindset is seeking to get consent from you, they're not asking for what they want directly. Using their horrific logic, they are asking you to consent to being violated in ways that they are not asking about. They are eliminating your ability to make an informed decision for how they will engage with you. You are signing a contract with microscopically small print. And whether it's by coercion or seduction, getting sex from a person who doesn't want it under the same conditions that you want it is always going to be grape, no matter how fancy one attempts to dress it up. Accepting lies doesn't mean a person likes lies. It doesn't mean a person can't handle the truth. It means a person trusted another human being enough to think they weren't a complete monster. And trusting human beings to actually be humane and not monstrous is never ever something that anyone should be made to feel ashamed of. I'm in the middle of editing this video, and of course, I am thinking of all the things that I should have said and could have said and need to add, and I had to stop and add this part because I think it's so important. And while this video is not all inclusive, this is not everything that you need to know about grape culture from A to Z. This is just me giving my commentary on the We Are Mindfully Delusional clip. Feel like I have to add this to this video if I'm going to talk about this subject, and that is the fact that so many people, especially and specifically men, are socialized to not see the actions that they are taking when they're violating others in a sexual way as great. So a lot of the mental gymnastics that Kellow is taking in that podcast is him attempting to try and make sense of what he has possibly done in the past or what his friends do to women. In him trying to make sense of that, it's him justifying it. The really scary part of this is how many men, if they were to really stop and think, if they were consenting to sex with another person in a way that wasn't violating that person's right to say no, that didn't push past that person's initial no, that person's hesitation, that person's boundaries, if they were to really sit with the interactions that they have with people, specifically women or anybody that's more feminine than them and more unsure than them, then a lot of men would find out that they are grapists and that they have graped someone. Even if they're not grapists, even if they don't regular and normally do that, they have assaulted someone. I think a lot of men would come to the conclusion that they've assaulted someone. And I think that that is a conclusion that a lot of people are not willing to face. And so we have mental gymnastics happening. We have people trying to explain the unexplainable, excuse the unexcusable. After a while, it's like you have to really look in the mirror and realize what you have done and what you are capable of. And I don't think that that is something that a lot of people are willing to face. The not wanting to walk over a specific threshold or push one's way into a house can also be figuratively seen as a way of not wanting to cross the line into I'm a full-on grapist. I'm the stereotypical jump out of the bushes grapist. And we have that scene in Sinners as well when Cornbread is using the restroom outside, not, nature's restroom. He is outside and you hear rustling and you hear vampires outside and you see the glowing eyes. And we all know that he's in trouble. This is the same kind of being in trouble that a lot of women are in when we're outside and, minding our business and it's night or whatever, that kind of thing. So there's that cliched idea of what a grapist is, and it's always the kind that jumps out of the bushes. But the majority of the horror scenes in this movie take place with a vampire attempting to make their way in, taking a nicer approach. So there are so many nice guys who work within the gray area, and that's their way of saying, well, not technically a grapist. I got them to agree to welcome me in. I got them to agree to let me into their bedroom. I got consent to have sex with this person. So for a lot of them, once they get that first yes, the no's do not count anymore. Once the vampire is let inside, the screams of no, don't attack me, are not being heard anymore. And so this is why when it comes to teaching people about consent, one of the first things that people are taught is that you can take back that consent at any time. You can withdraw your consent at any time. If that rule applied to vampires as well, it wouldn't be so scary, because you can say, you know what, I don't want you to bite me. And that would be the end of it. So that's the horror aspect of vampires, and that is the horror aspect of grapists, is that there's a point where you can't say no and you are being forced to do something that you don't want to do. There's a lot to unpack with that movie. There's a lot to unpack with grape culture. There's so much to unpack when it comes to how we view grape in the world, because there's this idea that if you grape nicely, then it doesn't count. I think that I said everything that I need to say. So let me go back to the video. So anyway, I'm going to end this video by saying, Lauren, you didn't deserve to hypothetically be called a 6 who's not all that on your own podcast by a man who sat and tried to explain to the world the logic of feeling pressured to grape women as opposed to be a decent human being who has consensual casual sex with people who want to have consensual casual sex with him. Oh my God. Okay, bye.